What up? What up? And what up? Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday. Yeah, what's happening? That's all my Batman fans out there. All right, let's get into it. Let's see how loud this music is. Do you want to get married? And if so, why? Is it worth it? Okay, so I have a relative who's married, and I talked to her husband, and he said she calls me for everything. And I said, well, yeah, you're the husband. He said, yeah, but I didn't think it would be this bad. And then I was listening to a preacher today, and he said people get married because he wants to make a bed out of her, and she wants to make a mule out of him. And I find that interesting because it's very true. Women want to work the man till he can't work anymore, and men want to, have sex with the woman as much as possible, but you find out very quickly that the having sex with her a lot is not true. It's just not true. It lasts for a short time and then it's over with. And then you have a lot of marriages that are sexless because a woman will not give her man sex, and or she'll hold him off for months. I know women who've done this. Like, I personally know them. And they've held their men back for months on end. And the man is constantly trying to get sex because that's the only place he can get sex legally. But she'll be like, no. She'll just constantly hold him off. And I always would ask them, why are you not giving your man sex? And then they would say things like, I'm mad at him. And I'd be like, mad at him for what? And it would just be these little reasons. And I'd be like, so wait a minute. You want to sabotage your marriage. You got kids. You got, twins. You want to sabotage your marriage because you're mad because he, wanted you to, move the car or take something out of the garage or just something minor. And you're like, you know what? No ass for you. Oh, you want to ask me to do it? Guess who's not going to be able to, perform the act of procreation with me? Use your hand, buddy. And then some women even go as far as not even letting their man do that. If he's like, you know what? I'm going to get the Vaseline. I'm just going to go in the bathroom. They'll be like, they'll knock on the door. They'll come in. They'll do anything just so he gets no sexual pleasure at all. And they will just frustrate this man's sexual, they'll just fill him with sexual angst to the point where he's like, okay, forget it. I'm going to go and get a prostitute. And then he comes home one day and he's happy than a lark. And you're just like, why are you happy? And then you're mad because he's happy. And then he doesn't try to touch you. He doesn't try to rub your butt. He doesn't try to, he doesn't give you compliments. He doesn't, roll over on you, in the morning and try to, his thing isn't getting hard anymore. And then one day you want it. And he's like, you know what? I'm good. It's cool. And then all the other things you want him to do, he actually goes and does. He's like, what do you want? Sure, I got you. And he does it with a smile on his face. And you're like, what is going on? Gonna find out he got himself a little hoe somewhere. And she is a hoe. That's all she is. And she's happy with that. Because he comes over, he drills the stuffing out of her young ass. That's all she wants anyway. She doesn't care about him. She just wants him to come over and plow her into, oblivion, and then he leaves, and then he comes home to the wife who wouldn't give him any sex at all. There are so many women right now who will not have sex with their husbands. And you would think that this is just something people talk about on the internet. No, I know wives who would not sleep with their husbands. They wouldn't do it. But they would meet a random man at a gas station and sleep with him at that gas station. I actually know women who've done this. And I asked one woman, I was like, why did you sleep with him? She said, because he had a nice chain on. He got right there in the family van. They got to talking. He stepped in the van and she opened her legs and gave him what was sacred. And he nailed her, never saw her again. She didn't care either. He had a nice chain on. Go home, think she slept with her husband? No. She wouldn't give her husband any. And then, her husband ended up getting so frustrated with her, he ended up slamming her, like physically. She got in an argument with him. She started, running off at the mouth. And, this guy was a football player too. She got to running off at the mouth to him, and he was just like, okay. She ran him out one time too many. He caught her from behind, picked her up, and dumped her on her head. And of course, he went to jail for a short time, but you know what? They're together today. She cut all that mouth out. She cut all that cheating out, and she got her act together. They're together today. Now, I don't condone slamming a woman on her head, and I don't condone a woman cutting her man off either. I don't condone a woman with all that mouth and all that verbal abuse. I don't condone that at all. Y'all better find another way to cope because it just ends up bad. I don't condone cheating. I don't condone none of that. But it happens so much, and it's just like, do you want to get married? When you look at the percentage of marriage, 80% of the time the woman initiates divorce, you just wonder, is it going to happen to you if you spend all that money? Women want you to spend 3 months of your income just on a ring alone. Just a ring. So if you're making 50 grand, that's what, $12,000 just on a ring. That's just a ring. That's not anything else you have to do with the cake, the dress, none of that. The vacation you're supposed to take, the honeymoon, none of that. Down payment on a house, the cars, none of that. That's just the ring, a ring. So she can walk around with a rock on her hand and have other men, do what they want all over that rock while she's married to you. I'm talking about it because I've seen it. I've seen women do just that. I've seen women who live in huge houses cheat on their man and do the worst things. I've seen it. So I'm just asking you guys, because I know there's a lot of males on my channel. And I just want to know, even though, it goes both ways. I mean, I know one woman who was getting cheated on by her husband. He was sleeping with prostitutes and beating her. He'd lock her in a closet. So, yeah, nobody's innocent. But I just want to know, what do you guys think about being married? Is it worth it? 51% of the time, the woman is cheating on the man. That's 51%. 80% of the time, the woman says, I'm done. I'm leaving. For one reason or another. We're not even going to talk about what the court system does, because the court system obliterates a man's income on every level. And you think it's over once you leave the house and she gets the house. No, if you get married, she can sue you. She can sue you for child support. I don't know if you guys know this or not. Listen, now child support is so bad that if you met a woman and you guys got to know each other, and she's got a kid. Let's say her kid's 5. She's got a 5-year-old boy. He's a great kid, right? Great kid. You're like, this is a really great kid. You're dating her for, let's just say, 2 months. You got to meet the kid after 2 months. You go over to her house, and it's cool. And she says, you know what? I'm going to go and get us a pizza. She leaves out the house. You're like, okay, I can watch, little, whatever his name is. I can watch him. He's a cool kid. You sit down, the kid's playing whatever, watching whatever, and you're like, this is chill. I can do this. She's going to get the pizza, whatever. She comes back an hour later with the pizza. Boom. Everything is cool, right? Let's just say a week after that, it doesn't work out. You're like, you know what? It's cool. I'm done. She can go to the court, file child support papers on you, and sue you because you spent time with her child and she didn't pay you. She can get child support out of you because you spent time with her child. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but it's very true. They can also get child support out of you if you, let's just say that you knew a neighbor. You had a neighbor. She's about to have a baby. She's got a man, then they break up, right? Or whatever the case. And he's gone somewhere. You don't really care about their situation, but you're cordial. You're like, hey, Denise, or whatever. She's like, hey, she goes to the hospital. She has the baby. They ask her who the father is. Now, the father's been gone. She broke up with him. He's gone out of state or whatever. She knows he ain't about nothing. He's not going to respond. She knows that you have a good job. You work for the state. And you're single. And she knows your name. She also knows your address. She says, Billy Bilson. Let's just say that's your name. They write down Billy Bilson. They say, what's his address? He lives at 1234 -- Lane. She happens to live at 1235 -- Lane. She knows your address. She knows your first and your last name. That paperwork goes to the court system. The court system then looks you up. When they look you up, they look for Billy Bilson. Boom. They look at your address. They go, boom, let's send Billy out a letter. They send you out a letter, child support, and they say, according to your income, you owe this much money a month for this child for the next 18 years. You get this letter. You're going, I don't have a child. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't know who this is. And you look at the first name, you recognize the first name, but you don't know anybody with the first last name that you slept with. Kind of find out it's your neighbor. She can legally get money out of you until you can prove that it's not your child. And even when you do, they can still say, you know what, you should support this child anyway. You've never slept with this woman a day in your life. She's just your neighbor. You don't know anything other than she's your neighbor. But she knew you. She knew your first and last name. She knew your address. And guess what? You're liable. This actually happened to a man. And he paid up to $30,000 in child support for within a 7-year span. And finally, I'll read that in a minute. And finally, they were like, okay, you no longer owe child support. He said, can I get my money back? And they said, absolutely not. This actually happened to a man. I would only marry the girl if she's loyal to me and if I'm loyal to her, but I'll keep married when I'm finally stable. I'll get married when I'm finally stable and making her sign the prenup. Here we go. If she doesn't sign it, then the wedding's off. Here's the thing about it. Okay, let's go with that. When do you present to your significant other, soon to be, that you want a prenup? When do you do it? In what year? At what month? Okay, let's do this. How long before you say, I want to marry you? From the day that you met her to the day it comes out of your mouth, you go in public, kneel on one knee, and pop that ring to her. What distance are we looking at? What distance in time? Because that's important. It's very important because you never really know a person until you live with them. So let's just say you did it the traditional way. You courted her. You talked to her father and mother and all that. You courted the woman, right? And you have, a decent income. She's a good woman, whatever. You court this woman the right way. You don't You're not having sex with her. You're courting her. You're doing everything the traditional way. Within 6 months, you pretty much know if you want to marry her or not, right? Let's just say you did that. Within that year, you go, bang, we're going to get married. So after a year, you have the money together, you buy the ring, you present the ring to her, and within a few months in that following year, you're married. So let's just say a year and a half. Year and a half, you never lived with this woman. You just dated her, you courted her, you pretty much hung out with her mother and father, especially the father, and you figure that this is a good unit. You know, this is a good union between you two, and then you go in. You're like, I'm going to do it. Everything's set up, bang, you get married. Year and a half, you get married. Do you really know that woman? Now, let's just say you did it the traditional way. Year and a half, you're not married yet. During what time after she says yes to marrying you, which was, what, after a year, what time do you present the prenup to her? The day of the marriage, 3 months before the marriage? Once you get on your knee and she says yes, then you say, I'll do this if you sign a prenup. When do you present a prenup to the woman that you want to be married to? Because once you do that, she understands that everything that you have is not hers anymore, which is part of the allure of being married. When it comes to a woman is marrying you not because, you know, you're the greatest guy she ever met. She's marrying you because you're a perfect match for her. The greatest guy she ever met is long gone. But you're a perfect match for her. She can live the rest of her life with you. That's why she's doing it. There's longevity in you. There's something in you that says this is a good quality man that, you know, hell or high water, I'll go through it with this guy. So when do you say, I'll do it, but half my assets do not go to you if you leave me? When do you instill that distrust? Because that's exactly what it is. You're saying, I don't trust you. I love you. I love your family, but I don't really trust you. So when do you say, yeah, you're gonna have to sign a prenup? And how much money? Okay, listen. I don't have a lot of money. I don't know how much you guys have. I don't care. It's your business. But I couldn't present a prenup to somebody I wanted to get married to at this point. My lawyer would take half of my cheese just to get him to draw up a prenup. I mean, I just don't have a lot of money. And I don't really worry about that. I don't really care about money like that. I just don't. I have enough to do what I need to do. But how much money do you need to make in order to have a prenup? Because I don't know the answer to that. What do you need to make? Let's just say, what? 80,000, 90,000, 110,000? What is it? How much? Because you got to ask yourself, is this ridiculous? Not to mention, women are working today, so on average, actually in my case, pretty much most of the women I've dated make more money than me. So if you're going to bring up prenup, you might not want to bring it up to somebody who actually makes more money than you do. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, you brought up you wouldn't do it except for a prenup. I don't even know if you're still here, but it's something you got to consider. How much money do you have? When will you present it to her? Is it worth doing that? Because the whole time that you're married, she's always going to have in the back of her head that I signed a prenup. That everything that we're working for, everything. And look, if we're doing it the traditional way, okay, before prenups, there was such thing as a dowry. There still is, but most people don't use it. A dowry was used when the father would come to a a possible suitor, and he would go to this man and he would say, I want you to marry my daughter. Fathers would give their daughters away. Now, the reason why he would do this is because that man had something going on that could benefit the father's family. So they would marry into it like a Game of Thrones type of thing. And that happened on every level. If you were poor together, but now you're not as poor because you have more people in the family working towards whatever it was. A lot of farmers would do this. Now they own more land. A lot of people who, property and so on. It was always financial because the father would only give the daughter away if the father had enough of whatever it is and the man accepted it. So if a father came to me and said, I want you to marry my 20-year-old daughter, my first question to him would be, what are you trading? That's the way it went. He had to give me something other than a daughter. You see, you think the daughter is the prize. She's not. The daughter was a burden. He had to pay me to take on this woman. Women cost more medically. They cost more cosmetically. They cost more when it comes to paying attention to them and all their daily needs. Women just cost more. They cause more stress on you. It is what it is. You have to protect them. If you're not ready to do all these things, then you really can't take on it. If you can't protect her, if you can't provide for her, you can't, don't take that woman on. Because she'll be gone in a heartbeat to the next man. So you had to think, back then the father would come to me and say, my 20-year-old daughter, take her on. And I'd be like, what are you trading? And he would say, I have so many chickens, cows, I have so much money, I have so much gold, silver, whatever it was. And then if it was enough for the suitor, he'd go, okay, I do it. But another condition is, will she breed? Can I get sons out of her is what I really want to know. I need men. I need sons to pass on my seed. That's what I really need. And he really wanted to know, can this woman breed? And most of the time, she wasn't 20 years old. 20 years old, she hadn't had 3 or 4 kids already. But I'm using it because everybody's sensitive about when you talk about teenagers, back then and the way it used to be. So let's just stick with 20 years old. So 20 years old, she can still, she's in her prime. She's the best looking she is. All her eggs are still, raring to go. Boom, she's still fertile, young, good looking. Can she breed? Now this seems like an odd question because it's like, how would the father know if she could breed? The father would know. The father would know. See, people kind of jumped on T.I. when T.I. was, pretty much making sure that his daughter was a virgin. And he was, being inclusive in her doctor's visits and all that. Well, little do you know, that's the way things were. The father needed to know because that girl was important. If he had 5 daughters, he had 5 ways of getting more income into and or around the house. There were 5 opportunities that he had to marry into a better life. And the more hands you had, the richer you were in a lot of situations. Still today, the more hands on a project, the easier the project is. The more people that are out in the field, the more people that are out in the field, the more you can yield. The more it yields, the richer you are. The more you can buy more land, more product. 2 people out in the field is nowhere near as good as 10 people out in the field. Especially if you have orchards and things like that. Come on, it just is what it is. So the father, if he had 5 girls, he really doesn't want to put his girls out in the field. He wants to keep them pretty. He doesn't want mud and stuff on them. He doesn't want their fingernails all messed up and them their teeth missing. The father doesn't want to do that. He's not going to do. The father's going to keep them in the house with the mother. They're going to learn how to cook. They're going to learn how to curtsy. They're going to learn how to be polite to older men. They don't care about little boys. They care about the men that will possibly marry them and put a seed into them. That's who they were focusing on. And they were all older men because younger men don't own property. They don't. They're still growing up under their fathers. It just doesn't happen. They were looking at men who had something, who were established. Okay? Now, you guys can say what you want about what happened back then. Everyone's a pedo. You know, okay, if that's what you want to go with, fine. But this is the way it worked. I feel like a girl she's out of your league. She'll cheat on me for, not always. There are some good-looking women out there. Here's the thing with your mindset, and I'll get back to what I was saying about the dowry. But here's the thing with your mindset. You think that you can't get a pretty woman. And you're already in doubt. So you're walking around with your shoulders over like this. This is how you walk around. Whenever you see a pretty girl, you go like this. And immediately she looks at you and says, you lack confidence. I don't want it. Women can smell that. That's what you do. When you see a beautiful woman, nice body, beautiful smile, and she approaches you and she's nice and cordial, you automatically think she's going to cheat on me. And it's going to hurt like heck because I could love this woman. Instead of going, this is what I deserve. Damn right she should talk to me. I'm the best choice she got. Yeah. And who cares if she leaves? You want to go? Okay, fine. I'll find somebody else. See, you don't exude confidence with that, you know. And I understand that, but listen, I'm an average guy. I've had above average women. I've had beautiful women, models. I've had them. I've made love to them. I've had them say, I love you. I'm an average guy. So I'm telling you now, get some confidence about you. Change your way of thinking. And if they leave you, then they leave you. Listen, a man's prime is a lot longer than a woman's prime. I've had beautiful women make love to me, leave me, and then come back. For years, they kept coming back. Why? Because I'm a great guy. I'm nice to them. I'm sweet to them. But they wanted to be out there, so I'm like, go ahead, run around and be out there. I'm not going to chase you down. I've done that already. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And you know what? Young women still are attracted to me. It is what it is. Once you realize that, young women still look at you. Young women still want to date you. You're not going to be sulking over a woman leaving you. It hurts, but you're like, hey, it is what it is. That's her loss. I'm still good. Run up in the Target a few times and you'll start seeing beautiful women everywhere. Just try it. Stop going to Walmart. Start going to Target. Try it. I'm trying to tell you right now. Just try it. Just walk around Target. It's a different atmosphere than it is Walmart. I'm just trying to tell you. But back to the dowry. So the mother would be grooming the daughters. The daughters, their feet wouldn't be all messed up. The fingernails wouldn't be all messed up. They knew how to cook. They knew how to clean. They knew how to shut the hell up. They knew when to speak and what to say. It was all the grooming process. So about time she's presented to you, a man of, substance, a man who has something, a man who has land, a man who has gold, silver, a man who knows how to work with his hands, who's already established. You got 30 cows. You got 200 chickens. You're that guy. People are coming to you to get substance. Okay? You're that man. You're 35, 40, whatever. The daughter hits puberty, boom. Once she hits puberty, the father talks to the mother. The mother says she hit puberty. The father's like, bet. Let's start looking. They go to Mr. Johnson's house. Mr. Johnson, I got a proposition for you. They see that he's doing okay. They know that he's a good guy, and he probably already has 2 wives. And Mr. Johnson, and he goes, I want you to, introduce you to my daughter. She's whatever age you want to put in your mind. And boom. Will she breed? Yes, she will. She'll give you sons. Then he'll figure out financially if that's what he wants to do. Because the dowry doesn't last you, the whole time you're taking care of this person, and you have to take care of those children. So I just want to say that, is marriage worth it? See, marriage is different today because the woman doesn't come to you now prepared for a husband. The woman comes to you oblivious of what she's really supposed to be. A woman comes to you now totally different than back then. She could have been somebody who worked in the field. She, worked, done jobs that are really not. She's never been to boarding school. She's never been to school to learn all these etiquette. She's never been to etiquette school. She doesn't have a bunch of women around her saying, this is how you present yourself to a man. She has a bunch of women around her who are scarred by men, hate men. So she has that in her system. And when she gets out there and starts learning about men, she doesn't come to you presented as a wife. She comes to you presented as maybe a girlfriend for a short time. She doesn't come to you looking to love you and looking to love you for the long run and looking for duty. She doesn't know anything about duty. She comes to you infatuated, and then once her infatuation wears out, she's gone. That's why 80% of the time the woman leaves. Because a woman comes to you infatuated. She has an image in her head of what marriage is, and when marriage doesn't fit her image, she files for divorce. That's not what you do. Marriage is duty. Anyways, I just wanted to know what you guys thought about that. I'm going to come back on and make some beats. If you guys got any more questions, just let me know. And it's just a good conversation. Just want to know what you guys thought. You guys take it easy. Peace.